This is gonna hurt. It's time for the Suffering Podcast.
In a car accident, driving 100 miles an hour will not kill you. It's the sudden stop that does the damage. A fast-paced life becomes unsustainable as you age, and your priorities shift. Having the clarity to slow down or hit the brakes is where the difficulties lie. You spend your whole life living an ethos, becoming connected to your vocation, knowing that it was what you were meant for. When the rug is removed from underneath your feet, and you no longer have the stability that has been steadfast every day, you're lost. You walk into the wilderness with no compass and no experience. Not everybody was meant to slow down. The day you feel you are irreplaceable is the day it's time to go. There is so much beyond the door if you have the courage to walk through. I'm Kevin Donaldson, always here with Mike Falaise, and welcome to the Suffering Podcast. If you're a fan of overcoming adversity and overcoming suffering, then we're for you, because that's what we do here and that's the stories that we highlight. So do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Please ring the bell to get notified of all of our new content. Now you can join. Follow us on all social media so you can find out exactly what we're up to. And on this episode of the Suffering Podcast, we have two guys to talk about the suffering of retirement, but the reason you guys are so important is because you're family. All right, we're all going through it in one way or another. So we have Bobby Crudele and Tom Flynn in here tonight.
Yeah.
And I thank you guys from the bottom of my heart.
You're welcome.
My pleasure.
I got top billing, so that.
Yeah. On the marquee.
This is going to be wild tonight. So before we get into anything, let's give a big shout out to our marquee sponsor. We don't trust anybody as police, but we do trust Toyota of Hackensack. So go to toyotahackensack.com and let them find you a car. So gentlemen, social media question. This one is not from Schmevin Schmonelson. Like the other one.
Crazy ass name.
So this one's coming from user with a Z, user B. How much do you trust your gut in your decision-making process? So both of you guys, I know you relied heavily on your instincts. So I think that's what it is, right? Instincts, your gut reactions. As police officers, you relied on your instincts. When something wasn't right, usually it isn't right. Your gut is always your third eye. So in your soon-to-be post-career life, how much do you rely on your gut? I'm going to go to Flynn first, since you got top billing.
There you go. Big star over there. So, you know, I think it's a learned behavior. So your gut, like you said, in a tactical situation, something on the job, you know, you go in on instinct right away, and that serves you well. But for me, as time has grown on, conflict with others, I've learned to give pause. And over time, I think I'm getting better at it. I'm trying to be a better man, time going on, where I might have snapped on somebody. You know, given my big stature amongst you titans of the gymnasium. But I've learned...
He's trying to work with us.
I've learned...
Testosterone, my man.
Yeah. I got to find me some of that. Do you have any?
Got some for you.
All right, spare pocket. But as time went on, I think I learned to give a tempered response, think it out first, and I think that gut is serving me much better than the original one.
Sounds good, Bob.
That's a great answer, actually. For me, I got on the job a little later, right? Late 20s, early 30s, like, you know, in that area. So I already was on the, you know, had a regular job. I worked. I was more of a street guy. You know, I understood what was going on. I always had a sense, like a gut, like, this ain't right. I knew when somebody was a little off. I just had that. Then as my police life, I became a detective early on, and it served me really well because I always had that gut feeling about something.
Did you when you were younger, though? This is an interesting point, because when you were younger, did you trust it?
I did.
Yeah, see, that's rare.
Because after a few times of being like, you know, this is like, you know, I just know. You know when you know, but you don't know, but you knew.
Mm-hmm.
Not to sound confusing, but that's exactly what it is. And then as a kid, you're like, oh, I could kind of like see things before they happen, or I can feel things are happening. You know, I just knew this isn't a bad, like you go into something and I'd be like, you know, this isn't a good situation. Although everybody else thought it was fine, I would be like, have a, you know, eyes in the back of my head, and most of the time I was right, you know?
You're picking up on little cues. You're picking up on behaviors. You're picking up on eye movements. You're picking up on hand movements. Most of the world is blind to that stuff.
Conversations. you have a conversation with people, you read people, right? I'm always reading people. I have a conversation with you, I'm reading you. You know, obviously we're really good friends. So, you know, but when I first met you, I was reading you. I was reading your body language, I was reading the way you spoke, the things that you said, the things that you touched on, you know, and I'm forming, not judging you, but I'm figuring out your character, right? And that's all gut stuff.
It's a wrestling match.
It's not like it's scientific. It's not supernatural. It's a feeling you have. So I had a, you know, if I don't like you, it's a gut feeling.
Right.
And it could be right from the get-go. That's the thing about me. And I'm like, I'm rarely wrong about that. Why don't you like that guy? I just don't like him. and I know. And then it may come out that, you know, you were right about that guy. He's messed up or whatever it is.
It does reveal itself over time.
Yeah. And that's a natural part. But I do believe it's a learned behavior as you go through a job and you see, if you're investigating, right? I see this, I see this, I see this. And now it's muscle memory, right? So you're like, I've seen this 100 times. I know exactly what this is. And then it's in your gut. You know what I mean? So you're sort of learning it, if that makes sense.
Absolutely, because when you have that gut feeling and you employ certain techniques that you learn while you're on the job, now all of a sudden you have this gift. It is a gift, because not everybody has it.
That's right.
You have this gift, and if you employ like, what is it, witness analysis or victim analysis, you know, statements. And if you think somebody's guilty, you ask them to describe their day from the beginning, what they had for breakfast, and they will give you the most detailed description. I had this happen. And then when the point you think that they're lying about, they'll brush right over it.
For sure.
So you just solidified what you thought.
Yeah.
So I'm going to bring this when I was younger, and that's why I brought that up to you. I knew when something wasn't right, I ignored it. And it there's been relationships in my life where you're like, yeah, something's wrong here. But yeah, you know what? It seems like a good idea. Yeah. And you do it. And how's it end? It always ends well. But if I bring this into my podcast life, there are times when I schedule a guest and I will say, man, I just don't have a good feeling about this one. I'm telling you, I've only been wrong once on it, where I'm like, this person's not going to come in. They're going to cancel out. I've only been wrong once. And it surprised the hell out of me.
Sign of a good cop,
yeah.
Right?
Nobody's perfect. Skill. No one bats 1,000, you know?
So that gut, if you can learn, and that's where the learned behavior is, learning how to trust your gut. For me, anyway, if I've learned over the years to trust my gut.
Yeah.
You know, we had some stuff going on. We had other guests in here that canceled out this week, and your gut served you well. So you called me, yeah, I don't think it's going to happen. I swear to you, this is the craziest thing in the world. What was it? Tuesday afternoon we had this conversation, and the guest canceled out Tuesday night.
Yeah, sure enough.
And it wasn't by any fault of their own, and I don't hold that against them.
No, and you just know people. You know what I mean? And you know situations, and you got information. So if I have intel, and I see something, and then I bring in my feeling like, yeah, this isn't the right time, and this isn't gonna work. I just knew that, you know.
I personally think Bobby was putting the kibosh on things so he could come in here. That's
the juju. He's putting the juju out there.
It's so funny because, you know, I can just come in here anytime I want. That's the funny part. You know what I mean? I could just say, hey, you're out. I'm in tonight, whoever you are.
There he goes. Yeah, he's in his bathrobe and boxers. He just walked in. He got a cup of
Unless
sugar
it's the
and left.
Navy SEAL. I'm not going to test that guy, but anybody else. Not De Palma either. I don't want to roll around with him.
You might have been able to test him. I think he could have done it. I think he could have.
Yeah.
De Palma? No.
De Palma's a whole nother animal.
No, I don't think he feels pain.
No.
So, User B, thank you so much for sending in that question. Keep sending in your questions, and we will try to get them on the air. And while you're at it, go see Gus over at Cubita Cafe. That's 234 Franklin Avenue in Nutley. Gus has some of the most amazing food. He's a classically trained chef. Used to work at Le Cirque. He knows his business. He knows his stuff. He knows what you like. He'll look at you. He's like, I'm going to make you something. You sit right there. He's done it to me a dozen times already. And Gus isn't in the food business. He's in the people business. And here's a prime example of that. My son, all he asked me to do is go to Cubita Cafe, and I'm like, I got to drive all the way to Nutley, but it's worth the ride because the food's that good. So go see Gus at Cubita Cafe, 234 Franklin Avenue, and tell him the Suffering Podcast sent you. So, gentlemen, we are here to talk about a subject that eventually, if you're lucky, everybody has to go through at least once in your life. But unfortunately, it's like stepping into the wilderness. You know, you've spent your entire lives working towards this vocation, working towards this inevitability to become what you believe that you are. And that's police officer. You know, we're talking specifically about retiring from police departments today. And when it happens, now you're like, oh, shit. Oh, shit.
Yeah.
So, you know, you've had some highlights in your career, and without a good police career, your retirement kind of means nothing. So I want to talk about some highlights in your career, something that you're ultra proud of, an event, a case that you worked that you're just so proud of. It kind of makes it's in your highlight reels. Bobby, why don't we start with you?
Well, I mean, it's I never really, just to just elaborate a little bit before I get into my highlight. My whole career seems like a highlight to me. Not that it was special all the time, but I never wanted to be a cop. And when I became one, it was all I ever wanted to do. And
you found it.
It's like it found me. I found it. And it was great. And I tried my hardest to fuck it up at times. You know what I mean? Like, if I'm being honest. But I had good people surrounding me. That's a highlight, okay? So I have a friend who's on the police force with me. You know, and this guy too. But I had a friend. I have a friend. His name's Corey. He's actually my supervisor. But we were together the whole way. You know him. You met him.
Yeah, yeah.
He's always had my back. And he's a highlight in general, in my opinion, because it's bigger than friendship. You know, I can't really, like, even put a finger on it. But, like, we worked cases together. We did stuff together. It's like we lived together. He's like, if I had to think of one guy that I was on the job with that, you know, and there's a bunch of them, but he's the first guy in my head. But as far as highlights, as far as doing the actual job, I spent 7 years on loan in the narcotics task force, and I did my best work there. I'm a detective by nature, and it suited me well, and I think I did a really good job while I was there. I tried always to serve and do the best I could, and I had some really big jobs over there that made the cover of the Jersey Journal, and like 4 or 5 of them, and you know, they were big, and I was like, wow. I was like, I said this to Mike DePalma. I never knew I could do the things I did as a police officer, like from a detective, from I'm very good with self-defense and things like that. Like, I never knew I could do that stuff. Like, being a cop showed me, like, sort of honed that and brought it into, like, wow, I'm really good at this. You know what I mean? Like, I felt like I was really good at being a cop. Like, it was the only thing I could really be good at. Like, I was like, wow, this is my one good thing.
So I've spoken to some people who know you, who, you know, we've never been in the same room together. They just know who you are. And everybody says the same thing. Best detective ever was. That they know. And that's not blowing smoke up your ass, but that's the truth. And I've heard that over and over again. One of the guys on the police department where I live, Paul, all right, says it all the time about you.
It's a great compliment, and you know, one that, you know, it's like loftily, like, you know, I've worked with great detectives. Same thing with football, right? I'm not the greatest coach. I'm not even close to being a great coach. However, I will work harder. And when I was really working as a detective, when I was on loan, and then when I was back, and I did some really good stuff, you know, everybody has ups and downs on the job, you know, and you sort of filter out, and then you're not the same guy you were. It's a long time, 26, 27 years, 25 years. It's a long time to be consistent. I love the job, and I worked the best I could. But, you know, I had my ups and downs where I was like, you know, I'll just do firearms now. And I didn't, like, you know what I mean? Like, it was like at the end there, you know, before I made a boss. But when I made supervisor, I was back up. I was pumped. Now I'm a supervisor. Then I made detective sergeant, and now I'm in charge of this. And it's like real. I felt like rejuvenated. You know what I mean?
Tom, what do you think? What are some of the highlights of your career?
So I have a quick story, and it's going to sound like I'm blowing smoke, but just yeah, not there. Oh. Someplace else.
Damn. You know we're going to talk about it eventually.
Yeah, listen, maybe... You know,
just get it out.
Yeah, get it out now.
I saw the thing he sent today. It was insane. Is it really? Because I got excited. All right, continue. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Tell you stuff.
yeah. I was on Zoom, so I zoomed in real big.
But just a little backstory: if anybody ever got our phone text back and forth, Jesus,
Alert the authorities.
my God, my God.
But it's actually we're very recent friends, and just over the weekend I had a chance to. He's looking at me with that. I can't even look at him. But
Just over the weekend, what did you two do?
no, not him and I. But this is a testament.
Someone else.
I'm trying to tell a nice story here.
Okay, go ahead.
So we went to Red Bull Stadium, and it's in his jurisdiction. And it was, by his graciousness and generosity that we were there. It was Mike DePalma and I, and we're parking. And
Did you guys take off your shirts with the letters painted?
yeah, the gigantic
on the nipples,
freshly pierced.
Insane.
Meanwhile, Sputnik's still going up there going, hey, there's Flynn.
Red Bull security was like, go get those two guys.
There's a man that looks like a glow stick. He has to stick out like a sore thumb. So we're parking, and there's a patrol guy, and he's just getting out of the car. And De Palma goes, hey, these are our cars over here. Bobby sent this. And the credit to you here is you should have seen this guy's face light up when they said Bobby. And immediately the guy's face lit up, and he goes, Crudele? And we nodded. And that's a testament to your legacy. Like, you have left a lasting impression on a patrolman.
Well, your reputation in the world of police is everything.
It was phenomenal. So that's just something I saw of you.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Heartfelt by this guy. For me, I had a bunch of highs and a very deep low. So one of the first things I got on a job, I was an FTO, long into that. And that's an honor because you're shaping and forming people beneath
It's actually
you.
probably the most important part of patrol when you get in a new guy or girl.
Absolutely. And I took the job head on, full force, dive in with every fiber of my being. To my own detriment, to my own family's detriment, I feel. Then I actually rose to the ranks, made sergeant, ran the FTO program. Becoming a boss, one of the things I remember is the squad. So I was in a unique situation. So I was working 4 to 12s, 4 p to midnight, and I went from being a patrolman to then being a supervisor, still in uniform with the same guys that were my colleagues the day before.
That's a tough move.
That can be tough.
It is a very difficult thing to navigate, but they gave me this plaque. And, when you get promoted, it's kind of like, that's no big deal. It happens all the time. And they gave me this plaque, from your boys, the original squad. Congratulations, Sergeant Flynn, for all the years of camaraderie. And it just hit me right in the heart. It's like, this is what it's about. Like, I got guys, and here's a side note to the story. As they hand me the plaque, camaraderie is spelled wrong.
So you didn't check the reports too well. Some FTO you are.
And I looked at it, and I didn't want to say anything, but one of the other guys noticed it, and he goes, no, we'll change it. I said, bro, this is exactly perfect, just the way it is. Because we misspelled the word. This is the ragtag bunch that I am very proud to be a part of. And thank you. And I do have one call, if you don't mind me rambling on.
Go ahead.
So I did.
You got 15 minutes left. Go ahead.
I didn't do as much and have a diverse career like Bobby did. I did do SWAT team stuff and some other things. But one call sticks out in my mind. And I had bad ones, people on fire, suicides, all that. But I'm going through the county park. I'm in patrol. I'm supervisor. And I come upon this Hispanic woman in tears, coming up to me, speaking half English, half Spanish. Her 3-year-old child is missing.
Oh, boy.
And the call goes out, and now I'm kind of the lead investigator, kind of coordinating everything else. And the first few minutes turned into 30 minutes and turns into an hour. And you know the statistics. With a young child missing, every minute that goes by is a lesser chance that they're going to be reunited. So we had clothing description and everything else. Flash forward 2 hours later, I see the girl on the corner. Clothing description, everything's a match. I scoop her up, call into headquarters. I got her. And don't tell me about picking up little girls on a quarter because I can feel it.
The joke writes itself.
No. This is a great story. You're ruining it by doing it. We were going to talk about you sitting in the playground later on, and that's probably why that's the biggest low of your.
And it just happens that
we have no idea.
That's a playground. That was my turf.
He was good up till No, go ahead.
A tier 1 offender, still offender, right?
Oh my God, dude.
So, but I have to tell you that the look in that mother's eyes when I was able to take that girl out and bring her to her mother, it's just one that sticks out above the trauma and everything else. It's never made the papers, never made anything else. It was only a couple-hour incident. Best call I've ever had.
So my police career, forget about the arrest, forget about the chases, forget about the accidents, forget about all that stuff. There's a picture. My son is 2.5, 3 years old. Now, I was working so much that my wife, the only time while the kids were up, she would have to bring my son. It was before my second one was born. She would have to bring my son to come see me. And we'd go to, there's a park there, and I'd hang around with him a couple minutes. There's a picture of my son sitting in between my legs, wearing my hat, and he plays with all the lights and stuff. And the smile on my son's face, that blows me away because he's 14 now, and he barely remembers that. He barely remembers seeing me in uniform, but I'll have that picture ingrained in my mind for the rest of my life. That is the highlight. If there was one thing that's a highlight of my career, my son seeing me and being able to sit in the car with me, and I'm looking and I'm holding him. There's no better feeling in the world than that.
A father's pride.
That's it. So there's you do your job, you do some great things on the job, you make an impact on people's lives. But eventually, we can't do this job forever. In the state of New Jersey, you have to retire when you're 65. You're like 2 years away, right? But eventually it comes to that time where you're going to have to pull the trigger. Whether you think about that early on in your career, because every new officer it's like, I'm going to do 25, I'm going to do 30, I'm going to do this. But it's so far in the distance, it's kind of like a pipe dream. It's like one day I'm going to hit the lottery type of thing. For you, it's a little bit different. For me, it's a little bit different. But you're actually doing your full time, and you're able to walk out with your head held high. And tomorrow, so this is recorded on the 24th of July. On the 25th, Bobby Crudele walks out of, can I say the department?
Yeah, sure.
Walks out of Harrison Police Department and officially retires.
Mm-hmm.
Well done.
What was your decision to pull the trigger?
It's pretty much because it was the right time, and I had a opportunity to do something else afterwards that would make everyone, everything in my life better financially. It allows my kids to pretty much go to school at just about any college that falls under the window, because I'm going to Stevens Institute of Technology, basically almost for free. It's just, I'm going to get a nice pension on top of a nice salary from them with a step program too, whatever. Chances for promotion, like to be a supervisor there too, but it's a different way it's a quality of life. It's a community policing type of job. So it's completely different than what I'm doing or used to.
Got to have a little anxiety, though. You're stepping out into almost not unfamiliar territory, but
it's bittersweet, okay? Because I talk about camaraderie. My squad's got sick camaraderie. We're off the hook. The things that everybody. We got a great mix of guys and girls. We got really good supervisors, like from starting with the lower level, like me, the sergeants, the detective sergeants. Then you get into the captains, the lieutenants and captains. On our side that I work for, we just all get along. There's no infighting. Everybody understands each other, and we eat dinner every night. We get together like we're a real family, and I hadn't had that since I was in the DB when I was in there with my buddy when I was with Corey. And then when I was with Sloan, we were tight. Like we had this nice fit. We did like stuff together all the time. But on patrol, I never felt like I did like the last year and a half. It's been it's tough to say goodbye because
You're leaving
I've been
your family.
coming in, but I've been coming in, and everyone's like, "Why are you still coming in?" It's like because I want to get it all out now because I'm gonna miss it. I am.
Yeah.
And it's just the way it is. I got great cops working too. They're all good.
So from my experience with retirement, I was forced. Like I was told, you can't do this job anymore. So I always feel like it was snatched from me. So here's the thing, like you'll see guys retire after 25 years. And this always stuck in me a little bit. And they'll have the big retirement party and they'll get the gold watch or whatever. They'll get the plaque, you know, and I'm not knocking your plaque, but I never had that opportunity until one day I'm sitting in group therapy. Mike was there. I'm sitting in group therapy and one of the guys goes, you understand all those guys, most of them who had their full time in, never did shit. They sat around, they slept on midnights.
Yeah.
You know, they just sort of rode their time out and they get this big party and this big walkout stuff where you actually did something. You know, so the guy said it to all of us. He says, where you guys actually did something and you can't do the job anymore. And it hurt. Like that hurt me real bad. And it wasn't until, oh God, I'll bet you 2 years ago, somebody was in my old police department and said, hey, your name's on the wall. I'm like, well, it was nice of them to fucking tell me.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's the department I worked in. It was toxic from day one. So that honor that's bestowed on you, I'm going to give you a suggestion, which is please enjoy it because I didn't get it. Flynn didn't get it. You earned it. I'm not saying, trust me, above all, I think you've earned it more than most.
Yeah, damn straight.
Now, Flynn, you left the job you're kind of in like a flux. So I'm retired, Bobby's soon to be retired. You're in between.
Yeah.
So that has to be a little bittersweet.
More than bittersweet. I mean, it's
more bitter.
Yeah, to say the least. You know, going out on your own terms, like Bobby is, it's inspiring. You use the term, and it's something that we all say on the job, right? Hey, I heard Bobby pulled the trigger.
Yeah.
Pulled the pin. Mm-hmm. You know,
Push
cops,
the button.
right? Whatever they say, but pulling the trigger has a negative connotation in and of itself, right? Because pulling the trigger generally means something bad is happening, and pulling the trigger can be a difficult decision.
To be honest
Understandably
with
so.
you, I've never heard pull the trigger. I've always heard push the button.
Push the button.
That's what we say in Hudson County, so maybe
That's probably better.
because we're probably real men.
Well, Essex,
over at Hudson County. Unlike you Essex guys, bunch of freaking, you know, I'm not even gonna say it, but oh my God, whiny little bitches. You come over to Hudson, teach you the right way.
I don't know, bro.
Coming over to Hudson tomorrow. Well,
Dude,
you got to show me.
You better behave. I'll tell you
I'm
that
gonna
right
be
now.
there.
Oh, I'm going to say all sorts of fucking things.
Yeah, I'm gonna
have to
drop
do
kick you like
gonna-
Captain America right in your chest.
say, like, there's words coming out of my mouth.
Supplements.
Yeah.
There's words going to come out of my mouth.
Easy. Guy takes a little TRT and he gets smack him right in his forehead.
So when you were told that you can't go back, that drop in your stomach, you're like, oh shit, what do I do now? Now, because one day there's not a process. Like you have a process.
Yeah.
There's no process for you. There was a process for me, but it was like immediate.
Mine is unceremonious. It took everything I love dear. I was dedicated to the job. I lived it, breathed it. Like I said, to my own detriment. It's being left in this limbo. Like I'm 5 years waiting to get reinstated. Mm-hmm. And I believe in my heart of hearts, and the facts play out.
Oh, it's going to happen. You just got to think it into existence.
Yeah, and I got to fight. I got to fight for it. But when guys in Bobby's situation are leaving, there is that separation anxiety.
The key component to any law enforcement officer being the best version of themselves is through education. Sherrie Allsup is a leader in providing that education to police agencies, preparing them for the all too frequent dealings with sexual assault victims.
You've seen Sherrie on episode 169 of the Suffering Podcast. She survived incest and almost daily sexual assault, so she comes from a place of experience and true understanding.
Sherrie has the intelligence, commitment, and compassion to open the eyes of those on the front lines, while providing the tools to effectively deal with a difficult situation. Sherrie's instruction comes from experience and multiple certifications.
Training with Sherrie will offer on-site training, customized schedules, specialized instruction tailored from a victim's perspective.
You are going to hear Sherrie's heart-wrenching but inspiring survivor story. Learn proprietary trauma-informed training techniques, uncovered victim-centered interview methods while earning continuing education credits according to your state guidelines. To be the best, you must learn from the best. Let Sherrie Allsup guide you through the delicate cases of sexual assault from a victim's point of view.
Be a source of comfort to those victims affected by these traumatic experiences while producing a solid investigation and uncovering details that often go unnoticed.
To find out more or to contact Sherrie Allsup, go to sherrieallsup.com. That's SherrieAllsup.com.
That identity that you had, it's really not your identity. It's just a part of you. And there's a thing C.S. Lewis has, right? Everybody quotes C.S. Lewis all the time. It's kind of cliche. But when I had part on my mug right now, C.S. Lewis says there are far, far greater things ahead than anything we leave behind.
So it's the funny thing in the opening, the hardest thing is walking through the door. But if you have the courage to walk through the door, there's some great things on the other side. You're about to see that, and you're going to see that very soon. It took me a while to see it.
God willing.
So police have this weird thing with retirement. So here's the statistic. We all know it. We die 5 years after retirement.
Yeah.
If you guys had to opine why that's the case, why do you think that is?
You want to take a crack at that one? Because last time I checked, I left my medical license at home.
I defer to you. You're the boss, man. I'll take it if you want. But
You've seen it over and over again.
For sure.
I just, I don't know how true that actually is. You hear it all the time and you see it, but only reason you hear it and see it is because it happened. But it's not like everybody. If you really took the numbers, what's the percentage?
It's like 57, 58, where,
So
and I
it's
have
like
a theory.
a little more than half,
But I have a theory. It's a different age now. Let's go back 20 years. I think it was more prevalent.
I think if I had to guess, and there's nothing to do with my gut, it would be that most cops, the job consumes them, and they do the job, and the job becomes them. It becomes everything. It's first before your family, before your social life and everything. This might be a little old school, but I really feel that once the job's gone, it's like, what else do I have? And I can't do anything else. I've never known anything else. I lost my family for this. I lost my wife for this, or whatever the case is. My kids, whatever. And then you just maybe fall into a bottle a little bit. You go out, you do things that you never did before. You're fucking around, and then
little midlife crisis.
And then boom, it goes. You just die.
So it's a crescendo of
I don't even
down.
know what's that mean.
It means, well, crescendo goes up. This is actually a digression into the pits.
Cascades.
Cascade. Okay, so you cascade down because you're going 100 miles an hour. When you're a cop, you're go, 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 go. Got to get the shift. Got to get the roll call. Got to do this. Got to go to call to call to call. If you're in a busy department, so you're going, go, 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 and then one day it's over, and then you stop, and that sudden stop. So they always said, like they say it in an accident, it's not the driving fast that kills you, it's the sudden stop.
Mm-hmm.
So with that sudden stop, guys stop taking care of themselves because they don't have that purpose anymore.
Yeah.
And then they're home all the time, and they realize they don't really fucking like their wife. So they end up getting divorced, and then half of their pension's gone. So it's just, that's the reason why they go so quickly. And 5 years is you're talking a window. And I think it's different now with people are much more cognizant of their mental or their physical health.
Physical health and mental health is just as important. Obviously, we know that. And, I always kind of stayed in shape. You know what I mean? Not always in great shape, but enough. I exercise regularly. I don't always eat that great, but I do have my windows. And, I felt like I'm going to retire. I'll do at least 7-8 years at this next job because my kid's being in college.
Right.
And then after that, I never planned on just sitting around, but if I want to look like, a lot of things have to be said about genetics, right?
Yeah.
So my father's 84 this month, or August. He'd walk every day for an hour. He does his thing. But besides that, a couple scotches a night, watches the Red Sox or whatever's on TV in Florida, whatever his teams are and stuff, the Rangers, this and that. Calls me, texts me back and forth. But this is like, he's been retired since he was 50 something. So it's like he's 84. So like he wasn't a cop. I'm just saying he had a job, a good job. He worked hard his whole life, but he really hasn't done anything. He hasn't besides to going for a walk, I mean, the guy's all like, it's insane. I think that's
one of the most difficult things to ever do is just stop. So guys where I work now, the cops where I work, they'll guys are leaving by the droves, and they'll come to me and they'll say, like, what were your plans when you retire? And I said, I was in an unfortunate situation where I didn't really have a plan, so I had to develop a plan real quick. I got young kids. But what I tell them is, I said, look, take 3-4 months off. Because there's a certain amount of guys that are like, when I retire, I'm retiring. I'm like, slow your roll. Take 3-4 months off. Relax. You earned it. You did 25 years. You earned some time off. And figure out your next move. Because that honeydew list, it's not as long as you think. Your wife's telling you, hey, honey, do this, honey, do that. It's not as long as you think. That ends real quick. And you're on a fixed income now because you don't have the overtime, you don't have the road jobs. So you can't go out and just spend. You got to be cognizant of your money. So there's a lot of different things. But if they take 3-4 months off, they can decompress, they can relax a little bit. Maybe most guys like that I know are going to get antsy, and they're going to go like, I got to fucking do something. I got to get out of the house. I can't take this no more. Where you got a little different situation. You ran right into it. Didn't you ever think about taking some time off?
No.
Why?
I didn't want to. I got to stay busy.
You earned it. Yeah, but what if you get to go to the gym?
I get to go to the gym. The college has 4 gyms I get access to all day, anytime I want to work out.
I know you wanted to work in Hoboken so you can be closer to Mike.
Yeah,
he's not in Hoboken. He's in Wyckoff.
Yeah, I know, but he works close by.
Yeah, well, no.
You guys will be having lunch and taking showers together.
Maybe we go to a little Fiore's. Not that you guys would know anything about that. Two fucking Essex County losers.
Rotten.
No, I just wanted to listen. If I didn't take this job, I could have took this job. I could have went for this job earlier. This is not a job that you just like. I didn't have it like. I think everyone should understand. I think some people think because. I knew people there that I was a shoo-in. I wasn't a shoo-in. I had to interview against 7 other people to get the job, and they're looking for people that are, round hole, round pegs. And that's the big thing in police right now. No more round hole, square peg, all that bullshit. They want you to fit, and they were looking for somebody that they could fit. And I got hired, and then another guy got hired after me. Two of us are getting hired. And it was against a bunch of other people. And so when I could have went for it the prior year, I was going to go for it. They were asking me, are you going to come? Are you going to send your stuff in? And I said, yeah, I'm not ready. And I thought that I was going to stick around and make lieutenant, which is definitely doable. Make lieutenant, stay with the overtime, Red Bull, do this and this. But the kids are all getting older and they're getting ready. The one's going to college. The other 2 are in the middle of high school now, going into their sophomore, junior year. So I'm like...
Well, you also miss so much working as much as you did.
Yeah, but now I'm going to a job that's 12-hour day shifts anyway. So it's like 30 a month on days, a month on nights. They rotate. So I'm working 3 on 2 off, 2 on 3 off. I'm just trading in one badge for another. So for me, it's a big deal tomorrow. I'm retiring from the Harrison Police Department. That's a big deal for me because I'm always a long time in my life and my people that I made connections with, and I served that community. I can honestly say I served that community to the best of my ability. I went through a lot of shit, and they were good to me, and I'm gonna miss that. But I'm gonna go to this new job, and I'm gonna work that for the next almost decade. So it's not really even a retirement. It's a second career. I'm going to a second career, which is, what do you do in your second career? I'm a cop. I am. Like somebody said the other day, you're not really a cop. I'm not really a cop. Why is Stevens Institute of Technology one of the 12 police departments in Hudson County? Why is that?
I was so shocked. So you foolishly put me down as a reference. And so I spoke with the guy, and listen, I all those fucked up things you used to say to me, all those fucking ball-busting moments, I thought about it. But I'm like, nah, there's nobody better for this job. In all honesty, I was very surprised because I had this vision of what you would be doing, which I was totally wrong. I was absolutely wrong on what a police officer in this capacity would be doing. The questions they were asking me, it was like a true blue police job interview. Like they asked me some serious shit.
Yeah.
And they wanted to know.
They want you to know everything. It's like, I got to be honest with you. It's a legit job. It's a different type of policing, though. It's community policing, and unless we're in community policing, or it's quality of life issues. It's dealing with people. It's like my biggest asset is my ability to communicate, right?
Yeah, but you're communicating with younger kids now.
But I have younger kids, and I've been coaching forever, so I have an elite background in communicating with younger people. So it's just talking to people. If you don't, it doesn't matter. Age is just a number. It doesn't matter. I'm tuned with a lot of that stuff, and I ask questions. I listen great. So it's like things that happen now, like when you like the way you talk to people. Like that's what policing's all about right now. It's not about like it was, get the fuck on the ground, that 20 years ago. That's now it's, guy's like pissed off. He's up here. What's wrong? Everything okay? Calm down. We'll talk about it. What? What do you want? Want a sandwich? Get your Coca-Cola. It's how you talk to people. It really is. And you gotta, they will realize when they raise the level that you're barking up the wrong tree. It's just, we're still cops. I think people have to realize that. And it's cops, and obviously we were getting back to being popular. We're not now. We're fucking back in the fucking shithole, back in the dumpster.
Yeah, thank you, Illinois.
Illinois.
Yeah.
But we're still cops, and we still have to be. I did the job this way, and although that disheartens me, and I listen, it's always somebody from my fucking race. It's always some white cop that kills a black person or an African American person. And I'm like, why? I know this is going off on a tangent, but I'm not retired yet. And I'm going to a university that's super diverse. I just don't get it. And I don't want to really talk about it much. It brings me down. When I saw that video, I felt sad.
It's a challenge.
I felt so sad that someone from my profession, my fraternity, my brotherhood, sisterhood, did this. It's like if it could be worse than George Floyd, it was. You know what I mean?
In a lot of ways, it was.
And it's just like, why? Like the no remorse, nothing. Just shot her in the head.
So it's a lot of discontent. So people love fueling the fire of discontent with police. And it makes the police job harder. And it's going to make your job harder, especially being on a college campus, which traditionally they don't always have a favorable view towards police officers.
This one does. So I'm hoping that they maintain that. It really does. They love the cops there.
Good.
Because they interact. They got a great... one of the things about going to this job is they have such a great upper level, chief, deputy chief, lieutenants.
Essential.
They really are in tune with the community of the campus and Hoboken. And they were all cops, like prosecutors, guys that were involved in big time. Like they really know their shit. And it attracted me to the job because I knew, wow, this is really good. I'm in good hands over here. And they can,
Well, the one guy that I know that works over there, he was top notch. I don't know whether he still works over there or not. I've been out of contact with him, but he is top notch.
What department did he come from?
West Caldwell. Yeah.
Essex County.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a couple of guys over there. West Orange.
Billy's
West
his first name.
Caldwell. I don't know.
Billy's his first name. He's a fantastic guy. His wife was actually my lieutenant. But when Billy showed up on scene, he knew what he was doing. He knew how to talk to people. Wasn't in the best shape in the world, but he knew that job inside and out. Yeah. And he was so when Stevens picked him up, I'm like, all right, you got a fair guy.
Leadership is key.
So Tom, I want to ask you, like when you were no longer a police officer anymore, you went into something totally different. What kind of adjustments did you have to make in your lifestyle?
So in the academy, right, or at the swearing in, your ultimate goal is retirement.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's everybody's goal. That's the brass ring. And when you're on the job, it's from 0 to 100. And now when you go not in Bobby's case, but in most, like you were saying, when people die, they go from 100 to 0. That's not good. The 0 to 100 ain't really good, and the 100 to 0 isn't good.
I think it's worse.
I agree. But one thing I will say is when you enter a life of service and you do it for the right reasons, and you said earlier it's a vocation. It really is a vocation. But your life is on loan to the community. It's not for purchase. It's a lease deal. It's not forever.
Too many people sell it.
Yeah.
They do. They sell their soul.
And, I mean, like I said, I gave everything. But when you're in a job that requires body armor, that's what separates us from other people too. We have to be prepared to die, and then we also have to be prepared to take a life. Two very different things. But that body armor that we build over time, we build mental and emotional armor as well. So the physical armor we put on physically protects us, but then that mental and emotional ability to not just fall apart on scenes, we do it to protect ourselves, but that can be isolating. That can be a wall that we put up for our family, our friends. You get on the job, there's certain people that you have to leave, right? Maybe not leave, but you got to keep them at arm's length. Like, I can't be around you doing blow all night. It's just not in line. You know, not that I had a friend that did that.
Depends on what department you're in.
I told you not to talk about our relationship. What the fuck is wrong with you?
It was just in the bathroom, though. I thought it stayed in the latrine. But
you pick your mirror up off the bed?
Yeah, but you leave or at least keep at arm's length.
I think what you're touching on. Yeah, listen, everybody had those friends.
Yeah,
but I think you were almost to the point where you were like, hey, listen, during the course of a police career, collectively, we do wear body armor every day. We do get into crazy shit.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter where you're working either. It happens, and you accumulate all this shit.
Yeah.
You do. No matter how hard you try to, you might do your job fantastically every day of your career, or at least like a large percentage of it. But when it's all said and done, you're walking away with baggage. You're walking away with something that's on your mind. Things happened. And that's called PTS, and police PTS, as we went through, we have all the blocks and everything. We read about it and how it compares to military and police is a collective. It could be one instance,
But it's cumulative over time.
Cumulative over time.
Yeah.
Or it could be the whole body of work, I was fortunate,
Yeah.
I was fortunate that I didn't have to take anybody's life. And I had some near calls in my career, that you think about. Like, every time something happens, you don't think about it when it happens. You think about it after it happens. Then the next thing happens, and you think about that thing that happened. And then it comes all together, So that's the other part about leaving the job, It's, you did a life of service. It's not, listen, I'm not putting anybody down that works in the private sector. If I want to say this, and I just said this to somebody. If I worked for Cali Carting and I was hauling garbage every morning at 2 o'clock in the morning until 5 or 6 o'clock, whenever they worked their 4 hours and shit, I would have did that with the same amount of vigor and shit that I was a police officer. I just work hard. That's what I do. I want to work.
You've been a short timer now when did you make this decision to retire?
About 4 months ago.
4 months ago. So you've been a short timer for the last 4 months, an actively conscious short timer. How has it affected your police job? Have you wavered in any bit? Have you taken it easy on some stuff?
Double secret probation. That's what we call it. Don't get involved in anything. My captain, who I spoke about earlier, is a protector. We're built from the same core. We both protect. I protect. He protects. He's like, you're not getting involved in shit, and I don't want you in this unless it's an absolute go. And I need you out there, and you just go. It's like, and a few times I was out doing stuff, and he was like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm working with the guys." He's like, but I got something for you to do in headquarters. Let's go, but staying productive too. I don't want to go out there. I'm sitting around, eating fucking hoagies and sipping on Coca-Cola. No, like I'm doing shit, But he doesn't want me.
I guess the thought process is he doesn't want you to catch a case where it's going to hold you up.
If you catch an IA and you can't retire.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I made it a career of not catching IAs, so that was a good thing. You know what I mean? So, you know, I've been fortunate in that regard. So, but you never know.
So did it ever cross your mind, because being a football coach, you know that the likelihood of you getting hurt when you're not going 100% is higher. Did you ever think
I probably
about that?
could have fell out of the chair as I was getting up to fucking, you know, go get my iced coffee that one of the patrolmen brought to me, like slipped or something. But besides that, I didn't really.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's when, in my opinion, when you stop going full bore.
I got more of a chance of getting hurt at the gym than I do on the job. I don't get hurt on the job.
Yeah.
Just something that I don't remember. I've been bruised and beat and all the stuff that happens to a cop that is active and isn't scared to. Well, I shouldn't say isn't scared. I've been scared my whole career on several different times. I was never afraid. I was never afraid. Scared just made me, and we talked about it with the SEAL. Scared just made me more aware of my surroundings and more focused. Stay alert, stay alive. You're scared, you're nervous, you got a pit in your stomach. It's like before a big game.
But that's courage.
You know, yes.
So,
but afraid is I'm paralyzed.
Yeah.
I can't move. Oh my God, what's going on? You know, that, and then anxious. I never had that.
Being courage is defined as being scared but going anyway.
Yeah.
Right? So that's what you do. You're scared. And even to take the next step, I'm sure there was some anxiety and some fear going in there, but eventually you know you're going to have to do it, because the process of retirement itself is a fucking nightmare. It's no fun. For me, there was a lot of anxiety going up because I had to go in front of the pension board. I wasn't sure if I was going to get my pension, and there was a different aspect to that. So your retirement process, did you have somebody working on it for you? You did it all yourself?
I got help from a couple of friends that were involved. But I went to a seminar, and I did everything myself. Yeah. I went through the process. I did the waiver for, you know, I did all this stuff with the benefits and beneficiaries and all that stuff. And then, you know, the town submits. Our town's really good. They submitted everything. I still haven't got my final letter from them as how much my pension is, because they had sent me something in June. They haven't sent me something in July yet. So they have to update. They're notoriously slow. But I started the process fucking months and months ago, so I'm thinking I should be getting a check in August.
That'll be nice.
Well, that's what I planned it for. So I started it 3 months ago, so I would get this, so they'd have enough time, because, you know, slow. They're on the slow train to Santa Fe out there. Let's go.
Although with MBOS being totally online now, it does make things a little bit easier.
It tells you what you're gonna get, and it's a good pension and everything, you know. And then the new job is a good salary. That's nothing's coming out of the damn check except for taxes. So you're really gonna net a lot more because nothing's coming out. You know, in your check, your police check, it looks like the who's who of who's taking your fucking money. Right?
Yeah. The net pay is not the same.
Your kids have known nothing but Bobby or Dad, the cop. They know nothing but.
Well, now they're gonna know Bobby the cop who's in Hoboken. Bring me home some mozzarella.
It's different. It's really, really different, because this life transition affects them as well. When you decided to push the button, or whatever you fucking guys call it.
That's what we call it. It's smart. Pull the trigger. What do you?
I don't know.
Whatever.
Was it like a belly button or something? You guys over
Did
there.
you get support at home? Did you get support at home, or did you get to like, hey, you sure you want to do this?
They were like, why the fuck? No, I'm only kidding. They, it was all like, hey, listen, this is what's best. You always do what's best. You know what I mean? I just think I've always did what's best. I worked a lot. You know, without getting into personal financial issues and stuff like that. I've always worked to try to make ends meet and do the best I can. So I wasn't never scared of that. Just go. Okay, got to do this, got to pull 16, come back the next day, get 4 hours rest, do another one, and I work Red Bull, whatever. I worked, you know. I wasn't the top, but I worked a lot, you know. And on top of, like, think about it, all the coaching and stuff like that. Now,
it's a full
I
life.
don't do that anymore. I'm not coaching, so it's just been all work the last 6 months. I've worked a lot. I worked a lot of overtime. I worked a lot of Red Bull, and now that's gone. You know what I mean? So I'm like, what am I going to do? You know what I mean? I got 3 days left, and I'm most likely not going to, you know, I'm not going to work my last tour. I mean, I'm going to walk out tomorrow, and then I got 3 days. I'm going to go in one night and have dinner, but not work. like, because I'm done. You know what I mean? Like, what? I can't do anything. I'm leaving the 31st. It's my official termination day. Then the August 1st is my retirement date. Why would I come back for the 3 days? You know what I mean?
So you have a reputation. You have a reputation that transcends Harrison. And you're going to be remembered. In 2 years, you're going to walk in that police department and the whole face is going to change. It's just, that's the way that it goes. But if you had a way to be remembered, how would you, Bobby Crudele, and I'm going to ask the same thing to you, how do you want to be remembered in the Harrison Police Department? And then I'll go back to you with how you want to be remembered in Montclair Police Department.
Yeah.
I want to say that I just would like to be remembered as someone who is reliable, you know, and who was consistent, treated people the same way, treated my coworkers, my people the same way. You know, I was never somebody who was wishy-washy or you didn't know what you were going to get. I treated people fairly and I was reliable. That, you know, a loyal person to them, you know. And listen, those people are your family and they're your friends. You know, you don't have to hang out with them every night or do anything. You see them more than you see your family. You know, so that's what I would like, somebody you could depend on. You know, I think that's my best thing. I mean, I don't care about all the awards and all the stuff that I did. I mean, I shouldn't say I don't care. I'm proud of it, you know. Some of it I'm surprised by, but that's not what defines me. It's what, you know, people like to say, I don't care what you think of me. I don't give a shit what he thinks. I don't care what this guy thinks. But we do. And I've said this before on the podcast. We all care what people think about us. If you say you don't, I'm talking in general, collectively. I'm not talking about one specific person that you can't stand. Well, I don't give a fuck what he thinks either. But everybody, the people I work with, I care what they think of me. Do they think I was a good cop? Am I going to be one of those guys that you mentioned before? Guy did 25, load, didn't do anything, bullshit, you know?
There's plenty of them.
I hope my reputation and what I did, and I didn't do it, nobody does a whole 25, 30 balls to the wall all the time, you know? But I hope for what I did do, I made a difference, you know? And I hope that people remember me like that.
Tom, what do you think? How do you want to be remembered?
Well, one thing sticks out about both of you to me is that you guys had a plan, right? A lot of guys don't have a plan.
Not really.
But there are things about both of you that brought people to you, wanting to be around you before you were ever a cop.
Well, he was bisexual, and that was a big thing back then.
It opens up the field.
It did open up a lot because a lot of guys were like, "Hey, I'm DL,
Listen,
but
I play the odds."
Like,
you know, hey,
switch hitter. I mean, offense, defense.
I'm DL. Would you want to go?
Catcher.
Car's got tints. What?
But you're a sports
yes,
writer.
Governor McGreevy.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, he was a good dude.
I met him once. He seems nice to me.
But you guys have qualities: coaching, sports writer, author, podcaster, father. Those qualities that we kind of like put on the back burner while we're on the job, because at least for good guys.
Don't because what happens is
you getting the
he starts
attraction.
getting worried that, oh shit, I'm not special. You know what I mean? He is special. Let him be special. Can I just tell you something real quick? This is funny.
Go ahead.
It's funny. I'm on a surveillance, foot surveillance in Hoboken. When it was after McGreevy was outed and he wasn't in office anymore. And I'm in Hoboken and I'm on like Frank Sinatra Way or some shit like that. And I'm in a Starbucks and I'm watching the bad guy. And I'm on the phone with whoever's calling me, one of the detectives. I don't think I was a team leader. I think I was just a regular detective at the time. And they're like, "Yeah, you see the guy?" I said, "Yeah, he's right. He's across the thing. He's looking at his computer, blah, blah, blah." There was something going on. I forget what the even job was. And I look to my right and I go, "Oh, fuck." And they're like, What? I'm like, "The Governor McGreevy's here with his boyfriend." It was like hysterical. And they're like, "Is he really?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I go, I really want to go over to him and shake his hand. And fucking whoever's on the other side, "What are you fucking nuts? You're going to burn yourself. Sit the fuck down." I go, well, if this guy leaves, I'm going over to McGreevy because I want to introduce myself. you know, and they're like, it was hilarious, and I don't know. I'm pretty sure I was working. I was working with Liz and maybe Lonnie. They're married now, but they might have been on my squad then. But there's a couple of guys and girls that I worked with that might have been working with me that day, and I was like, "Holy shit, he's fucking here! He's with his man." Like, it was great. I was gonna go up to him. You know, I was gonna go up. I was gonna be like, "Governor McGreevy, Bobby Crudele, Harrison PD. Nice to meet you." Give him a little tickle with the finger. Anywai, go ahead. I just my little story. It is my retirement.
It is.
It's my party.
It's your spotlight.
I'll cry
man.
if I want to.
You can cry if you want to.
That's
right.
You earned it, man. But I think as far as you're talking about being remembered, and technically right now, like I'm active. I'm just suspended without pay, and it's not a good place to be because I believe I was a good cop, and the way I'd want to be remembered. And when we say boss in law enforcement, doesn't matter the rank. You know what I mean? I would like to be remembered. I never laid down. I never griped downward.
Been over a couple times, right?
Yeah, and I can't even expand on that.
We can talk about it later.
But I never laid down. I took the hard road. I stood my ground, and he said hard road. I got him. I'm sorry.
Rob Halpern.
But I want to be remembered as a leader, as a good boss, just a good boss, and I stuck up for the men as well as myself. A good leader, a boss.
I think, you know,
Not
a leader,
but a boss.
No,
a good
you know,
boss.
I get it. You know, I always reframe. I learned from a supervisor that, like, we say that a lot. Hey, boss, whatever, boss. You know, it's just a term of endearment, right? Like,
term of respect.
If you like the guy. If he's not, it's just
Hey,
Lieutenant,
sergeant, whatever. But I never liked when people called me boss. No mock on you. I just didn't like it because a boss is someone who tells you what to do, you know. And I was a leader. I led by example, and I let my people work. And I was like, I want you to go out and do the job. I don't want to tell you what to do. I'm here to guide you. I really am. Like, I worked for a supervisor that did everything and then told you to write the report.
Yeah,
and I used to drive me crazy. And I'd be like, well, what the fuck? You did everything. Why don't you write the fucking report? And he would tell me, write the goddamn report. But my thing was like, yo, I'm here to guide you to it. You got a question? I probably have the answer. And if I don't have the answer, there's a bunch of other guys in this department that are really sharp. I can call one of them.
Yeah.
You know, and I used to, just my thing is Tom Flynn. Maybe Tom Flynn's a brand new sergeant, and I've been sergeant for a while, but he's smart as a whip, and I don't know everything, and I don't claim to know everything. So I'm like, yo, this is what I do particularly well, but I don't know jack shit about this. Flynn, get your ass over here. What is this?
Yeah.
And like that shows people that it's okay to raise your hand and ask the question, you know. And I think new cops need to know that because.
Well, that's Socrates.
They get
Great.
Yeah.
You're
well,
so
I don't know
great
nothing
boss.
about Socrates.
That's
now you're gonna start with
Socrates.
this Greek shit.
Yes, the only true knowledge is knowing that you know nothing. Right? That's exactly, and
Makes
that's
sense.
you're talking 2,000 years ago, 3,000 years ago. So it's one of those maxims that's a truism throughout time.
Is he going to quote Marcus Aurelius next? What the fuck is going on
Stoicism.
here?
I have read Stoicisms by
Stoicism.
Marcus
Oh my
Aurelius. Yes,
God,
I
you're
have.
both killing me.
I can start whipping that stuff out.
Oh, I bet you can whip something else out too.
I can start. I can recite you Act 3, Scene 1 of Hamlet
Sicko.
if you want to.
That's right.
So I think for me, only thing I want people to know is I never passed the buck. I wasn't everybody's cup of tea. I wasn't, because when I was vocal about things that inside the department that I saw as egregious. So I was vocal about that. If you were fucking up, I would tell you, dude, you're fucking up. But getting back to that gut, you want to talk about gut reaction, and I tell this to my kids. So we had a guy, I don't even know if the conviction came through. He was charged, and his locker was right next to mine. He was charged with 21 counts of sex with underage girls and coercion of witnesses. And
Last name Flynn?
he was a real fucking scumbag. And I never trusted the guy. I'm telling you right now, I never trusted the guy. There were times where him and I got into altercations where he went back and told the bosses, and I'm like, hey,
Come on.
is there any cameras? Did anybody see it? Well, it's his word against mine. That's all it is. But it was that gut feeling. It was that gut. and I was willing to stand up and say, something's fucked up about you, and I'm not just going to stay quiet. So that's how I want to be remembered. Hey, listen, like him or not, at least he stood up for what he believed in. At least he stood up for what he believed was right, and he wasn't willing to keep his mouth shut and be complicit. That's really all I got, because my police career wasn't long enough in order to build a full legacy like I wanted to. I would have loved to have been able to do 25 years, made rank, and done all that stuff, but unfortunately, I got put.
It
right
wasn't
where I
in
was.
the cards like that. But you know what? You still served, and you know what? You almost gave your life because of it, and that's enough.
But I'm happy where I am.
Yeah, and you are. You're happy, and you. I don't want to say anything, but you are kind of attractive.
So people are going to start coming to you, just like they would come to you with advice about police work. Pretty soon, you're going to have guys coming to you who you've worked with, say, "Hey, listen, Bobby, I'm looking to retire. What do you know about it?" So, what advice would you give somebody when it's time to push that button?
It's an individual choice. It's you have to look at everything. You have to look at everything. You got to see where you're at. Do you still have something left in the tank? That's another thing. For me, I knew I could keep doing this job where I was and do it where they had me. But at the same time, I had other opportunities and things that I needed to do that were better for everybody else involved, my family and everything else. So I made that choice because, part of being, I don't want to sound like I'm sacrificing, you know what I mean? But sacrifice is big. You sacrifice at this job, you sacrifice a lot being a cop. You really do.
Yep.
And I'm not going to get into the reasons, but anybody who does the job understands what the sacrifice is. And, if you do it right, and then about working extra and everything else. So I would tell the person, you have to be sure, if you love this job, then it's really hard. If you just look at it like it's a job and you made it, push the button and go sit in the school and wave at the kids and get you $30 an hour, and you'll be fine. Because there's lots of guys like that. They didn't really give a shit about the job. It was a job to them, and they made it. They never put themselves in situations where they weren't going to make it. They never did anything. And I'm not talking bad about these guys. It's just the way they were. And every department needs those guys, the guys that do like minimal, you know what I mean? But they're there. They're a body. They show up to work every fucking day, right? So you don't have to worry about them calling out sick and, we got to replace this guy, but he doesn't do anything. He shows up. So there's a plus side to everyone. Every cop does something particularly well, no matter if they're looked at like, wow, he's cop of the year or dud. You know what I'm saying? So if you love the job, then you have to really, it's a tough decision.
Because once you walk out that door,
you can't come back.
Once you collect that first check,
you can't come back.
That's it. It's very final.
Yeah, it's final. And then if you don't love the job, then it's easy. You're done. Just unless you're money hungry and you just don't want to leave and you think you can't leave. Those are the people, and I've seen this firsthand on my job. Those are the guys that hang around and they have all these excuses for not leaving. They got 30-something years on. They've been giving back to the pension. We need those guys, because keep giving it back. They end up getting jammed up. Something happens, and then nothing. Then they get zip. They get zero, or they get just out with their pension. They're lucky, but their legacy is shot. Like, everybody remembers you for that one little thing you did because, what, you think you were invincible? That's the last thing us cops are these days.
Yeah. You become the Brett Favre of the police department.
Yeah, exactly.
Hang on just one season too long.
Yeah.
So, guys, we're coming to the end of this thing here, and my suffering and retirement and your suffering and retirement are far different. You've served with honor. You've served a full career, and you're going through this process right now. And I know you're going to another job, but you're leaving your family. So there's some suffering involved in that. What do you think your suffering of retirement has taught you?
Gratitude. I'm so grateful for the relationships that I built over my career. The people that I knew that I came over to the Harrison Police Department with, and the people that I met after I was there. It's like I've known these guys, and even the people that I've just started working with over the last few years, even the ones that just got hired this last class, I get to know people fast. And if I like you, it just seems like, wow, I feel like I know this person 6 years, not 6 months. And though I value all that. I really do. I value everybody that's made an impact on my life in the Harrison Police Department, and I hope they feel the same thing about me. But that's going to be the biggest thing, like the little things, like walking up the stupid driveway, then hitting the fob and going in and saying to the girl, the clerk behind the desk, clerk, you know, just like stupid shit, and like just walking past and going down to my locker, and just those little things matter. You know, everybody always says that the little things matter. It's not going to be the big job, the stuff, you know, all the crazy stuff, all the big time things, you know, cop of the year, all that shit. It's not that. It's those little things. It's like seeing the detectives and all those guys and just talking shit, the fun shit, you know, the stuff we did so much of that. The Harrison Police Department is a fun place to be at, regardless of what anybody says. My opinion of it is it's fun.
I haven't laid a coffee bomb in 11 years. So you know what a coffee bomb is? You know, so in the old Crown Vics, the push bar had the plate on there. If you take a half a cup of coffee, this was my thing. I'd take a half a cup of coffee and I'd put it on there. When that car gets up to about 35 miles an hour, that coffee will shoot up and hit their windshield, and it's the funniest fucking thing in the world.
I never did that.
Oh, it's the greatest thing in the
See,
world.
at our place, they'd smash into a brick wall or something like that because they're not good drivers. No, but, yeah, so like that's what I'm gonna remember. You know, those are the things.
I will tell you this: you leaving tomorrow is going to leave a big gaping hole, which will eventually be filled.
See what I'm talking about?
Oh my God!
And you say I'm the one saying the double
Big
entendres.
gaping hole. I'm gonna have Mike DePalma punch me in the face tomorrow. When I'm gonna say, Mike, right here, just punch me like Raging Bull. Hit me, just hit me in the face.
I will. I know there's going to be a
void.
huge hole in that department that will eventually fill. It'll that wound will heal, but you leaving tomorrow will leave a lasting imprint with the guys you worked with until they retire, and hopefully you led by example enough so they want to live up to your example. So I want to be the first one to congratulate you. I will be there tomorrow. I wouldn't miss it for the world, and I'm so proud of you. You're the last one of us that's active. Well, you're active, but sort of. You're like adjacent.
Oh, wait till this guy gets his job back. It's going to be a fucking nightmare. Look at me. He's going to walk around in his uniform, sleep in it.
He may be a true boss.
Yeah,
He may be the chief.
Hey, listen. They might have to give him. They got to give him all that back pay. We better go to Smith and Walensky's. That's all I know.
You got it.
Thank you guys very much for coming in tonight.
Congratulations.
Hey, thank you.
And that's going to do it for this episode of The Suffering Podcast, The Suffering of Retirement with Bobby Crudele and Tom Flynn. Let's think about all the stuff that we learned. When you do what you love, your whole career is a highlight reel. Reputation is everything. A life of service comes with baggage. Do you still have any gas in the tank? But most importantly, be grateful for your career. You earned it. And that's going to do it for this episode. Don't forget to go to popple.com, get your digital business card, put in the code TSP20 for a 20% discount. Follow us on all social media. That's Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn, OnlyFans. Follow me at Real Kevin Donaldson, and of course, follow the Suffering Podcast. We're going to see you on the next episode.